Oh, you've
Yes,
changed.
hi. Yeah.
Hold on. Hi, yes, Matthew.
Hello.
This is Theo. I was on about a friend of mine
Yeah.
at work. He's in
Who?
the same class as me. Oh yeah, Karen. Oh,
Mm,
where'd you go?
she's gone.
Finished? Probably. Probably forgot to plug in your battery.
Again. Yep.
Yep, I'm all charged
Is
up.
that PowerPoint on?
Whoops, excuse me. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Karen.
I
Mm,
just
I
just
did the so.
uh,
Sorry. Oh, you're in the house then, yeah.
Oh, I just. Who? Okay.
okay.
Oh, hi, Karen. You're back in now, I think.
Next week. All right. Well, hey Merlin, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing? This is my friend Theo.
Hey, how are
Yeah.
you? Your name is Theo.
Yeah.
Yep,
Nice
Theo.
to meet you, Theo.
So
Speaking
he's
to
the one I'm going
Karen.
to invite to the group later on.
Okay.
So just getting him used to the concept. He's actually in my class as well in the
Oh,
GCSE in UK.
Yep.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. Have you
So
been in
he's been able to
Altspace,
proofread.
Theo?
This is my third time in Altspace.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to Altspace. Welcome to Merlin's class.
Oh,
And this is
trust I've been
our friend Matthew here, stands with trees.
it.
Yeah, he was in here earlier. I think we've been in here for
Yeah.
about 2 hours now. Just showing him
Oh,
different
okay.
features.
Yeah, I was
I
proofreading
can
his
tell when people are looking at their
PowerPoint.
hands that they're new.
Yeah, I often keep my hands up like this.
So is your headset new too? Hi, Dragon S.
Oh
No,
Hi.
no,
how
I've
long
had
have you
the
had your
headset
headset
for
for?
quite a while.
You had it since it came out,
I,
didn't
I,
you?
I yeah, I pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had it since it came out.
Oh,
Cassie.
okay. Well, everything's a little
Hi,
new then.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, if you want to open at the back, and then I'll be out there in a minute.
Okay.
See you in a sec.
Oops.
Yeah. What I've done is I've done an introduction for him
Takeshi.
myself.
Hi.
Okay.
If we just do the normal one, that'd be fine. Oh, and did you see the message from Lance? He's doing a 2D training, so he's not
Oh,
gonna be here.
okay. All right.
You're going to do moderators training actually after this.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
well,
right.
I'm just
That
going
was
to let you
there was
know,
a conflict.
Merlin, I'm probably going to leave the event about 5 minutes early.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave in the event about 10 minutes after. I said to Lance to be 10 minutes late. So
Is that the
yeah, Karen, if you want
moderator
us to leave early
training?
as well, that's fine.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well,
Right after this event.
okay. Actually, I'm going to skip that because I need to walk with Rich. There's a lot going on Fridays, so I can't do
Okay.
everything.
You'll be back on
I
later
wish
on or not?
Leslie was here. I wanted to tell her about it.
Who?
Yeah, she wanted to go to it, Leslie. Yeah.
Oh, maybe leave her a message in Discord.
Yeah.
She might be coming on because sometimes she comes to these anyway. So if she's here, I'll try and message her.
Okay. How are you this week, Takeshi?
Everything is okay, but little bit tired. The season is changing. The daytime
Oh,
is very hot and the night time is very cold. So the sometimes it's very difficult to maintain to choose the right clothes, right garment because yeah. So I
hmm.
think I have a cold. I think I have a little bit sore throat.
Yeah, sometimes the weather change can do that. And then, got the weather change and then did the time just change for you?
Hey, Dragoness.
Time
Mm.
change?
Hey, Merlin.
Yeah, time. No, time is not changing in Japan. I know some country,
Stands
some
with trees.
European country,
Yeah.
change.
Ah,
Time is changed, right? But Japan is not. Japan, time will not change.
oh,
This
that
week,
makes it easier.
yes, I installed the Unity in my computer the first time, and I uploaded my first world to the Alt space this week.
Oh,
But just
oh, that's
it's just a
wonderful.
yeah, it's just a plane, but somehow I
Nice.
succeed to upload my first world.
Well, congratulations. It seems like everybody has problems with the first one, so congratulations. That's a milestone. You know, it not only makes you feel good, but you're on the road to well, I wouldn't say conquering VR, but you're on the road. You're on a good path now. So congratulations.
Yeah, so I
Carol,
was
I'm
very
gonna call
happy
it.
when it was successful. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I'm
Sorry,
gonna
I
call it 5 minutes for waiting time. And if you are skipping the event, are you okay to stay here for about 10 minutes afterwards?
Yeah, until Rich gets here.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, well, I'll see
Okay,
you in
and
5.
okay, now you're going to start in 5 minutes then,
Yeah, we'll call it
because it's two.
5 past. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. In 3 minutes then. Okay,
Right,
perfect.
thank you.
Sure. Hi, Dargan.
Hey, hello, Karen.
Yeah. How
You doing today?
Too many things to click as you come into the world.
I know. I'm not sure if I like the new menu or not. It,
Yep.
I don't know. It's
It
kind
kind
of
of gets in
strange.
the way unless maybe if you register your interest in more events. That's something I tend to not do. I just know when they are. I bet those might pop
Same
up
here.
on my screen. Mhm.
Yeah. I guess it is nice if the event is right there and all you have to do is click into it. That's kind of nice. And we don't spawn into our home spaces anymore.
Can you see the?
Yeah, yeah.
I can see
That's
that.
disappointing, just as Lance, after all the work and shared.
I
Those nice ones.
know. I know.
Yeah, no, I
Now
can totally see that.
we're stuck between our
Okay.
home space and Lance's home space. We'll just have to make a point of going in there and meeting up sometimes because he spent a lot of work and time on that.
Just
He did, yeah.
shout me when it's 5
I agree.
past. If I miss it, there's a minute left. Okay.
Hello.
Hey, hello, Dragoness.
Got like a minute.
Well, I
Got
saw your
the
message,
tilt brush thing going.
Matthew. That
The reason
What's that?
it's just, I guess
Unlocked
it's a few
anyway.
more
You got
days
the
now
tilt
of
brush
waiting.
unlocked.
It's just when you,
I know.
Oh, yep.
I know.
Going,
just
I
did you make it there?
frustrating.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a long weekend now, so I.
Okay,
Then I
cool.
fell off the
Oh
island.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just frustrating when you're expecting something, and
Yeah.
it'd be better if they gave
I
you
have
an
to look
ETA,
at it
Yeah,
in the
that was
headset
like
a couple
later.
weeks out, and then it comes early.
that was my
you know?
first attempt at
Last
trying
time
to
I
create a world in something other than
was supposed to be
Unity,
done
right? I guess I
yesterday,
was trying to avoid
Sure.
learning Blender. I was
again,
wondering if I could do something
even if
nice
it
with
is
Tilt
done,
Brush.
they're not going to ship
That'd
it
work.
out
So.
until Tuesday because of the
Tilt
because of
brush
the
is
weekend.
cool.
I
That's,
know.
yeah.
I
Don't be
know.
scared of Blender,
Which means
but
probably
yeah.
next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep, I eventually,
Well, one more
did the
week,
donut
right?
tutorial and got more
Yeah.
comfortable with Blender.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the bottom
Yeah.
line is, whatever
I'm
time
still
it
not
takes, I
very
know
good
it's
with
coming
tilt
eventually.
brush.
Right.
I was kind of starting to get some stuff. Then when Othello started duplicating everybody's
so
work,
nice
I
to
got
have it
really
back in the
confused
hobby.
and it messed
I
me up.
know.
Yes.
I know. It's going to be really nice.
I was like,
Yep,
wait,
I had
I
a
don't want
nice
that
tree
many
going
lines.
on
And I
too.
tried to
now.
delete
Okay.
stuff, and then it was like, wait,
Mhm.
what? And I was like, whatever.
Yeah, then I just started drawing randomly. I had a nice tree going until everything was duplicated, and then I was like, okay, let's
Right.
just do something different.
Okay, we're going to get
Yeah,
started here in
that's
just a
what I
minute.
did. Except I wasn't making a tree.
Did you get that message? Are you able to just
Yeah,
close it?
yeah, I
Okay, cool.
closed it.
Oh.
Wait,
I'm going.
where? Oh wait, where would you like me to go once I've come in?
Just sit whenever you want.
Right.
Right, see you there.
Okay, please welcome Merlin, our professor and a magician.
Oh, good evening, good evening. Today I've been a bit more productive. I'll be able to face the wall because I've got a screen in front of me. Decided to put that in. So I just grabbed me mouse for the presentation software. How's everyone doing? Sell some emojis. How you all doing? You'll see there's not many people today actually, which is because of an AltspaceVR error. I wasn't able to get it on the main menu. So there's only a few interested tonight, so I might roll this over to next week. It depends. But it'll be a video online anyway, so we'll carry on. And hopefully we'll move over to next week's topic just fine. Apparently this isn't going to work today. Yeah. Okay, let's put that back down here. Okay, so welcome again. I hope you're all well. I'm going to do a quick introduction to a special friend of mine, actually, who's on the same course as me. We've got 6 more weeks to go. We've got a 2-week break from school now, and we've got 6 more weeks of the course. So introduce yourself.
I
Go
can
ahead.
confirm. Hi, I'm Theo. As he said, same course as him, same class as well, because there's only the one class. Not many people wanted to take it. And as he said, we are friends up there, special friends. And yeah, I'm happy to be
So
here.
yeah, he's been on VR for 5 days, it tells me. So yeah, you can take a seat.
I've been
if you
on
want,
AltspaceVR
and,
for 5 days, but I've been on VR
yeah,
for quite a
Altspace
while.
5 days. Yeah. Right, so take care. You two can take a seat again, and he'll be presenting soon. Actually, we're gonna try and get him involved next week's. So as usual, today we're going to learn about types of networks, factors that affect a network, different server models, network hardware that is required, domain name system, and VPNs. I'd like to welcome back all of you who attended last week's event, and for those who are new here, hope you enjoy your time. This lesson should cover everything, but if we don't get to the end, it'll roll over to next week. So first of all, we're going to go over types of networks. The first type of network is a local area network. I believe all of you will currently be on a local area network, unless you're connecting virtually for a VPN, sorry. So a local area network is based on one specific site in which you can only use within a specified area. So your home, you've got your router at home, and you only get connection within your household, unless you have extenders that roll on throughout the building. So yeah, that's what a local area network is. Now it's the same for schools. Schools are classed as local area network because it's a network only within one specific site. The other type of network is a wide area network. A wide area network is a network based on a large geographical scale, which can be accessed from more than one area. For example, the internet is a wide area network, as everyone can access it on a large geographical scale. So, for example, there's a server in the middle here on the screen, and you got someone in the top left of the world and someone in the bottom right can all connect to the internet together. So, advantages of a network. Users can share files, users can share peripheral devices, profiles can be managed centrally, users can all access the same software, of course, only on a specified network if you're sharing the same network or computer, and all files can be accessed centrally. Disadvantages would be difficult to keep network up to date. If you do have a network like an office, and all of them are sharing from a central server, it's difficult to keep up to date. Oh, I think that's a question there. Hobbyman 12, okay. Host tools. Hobbyman 12. Yes, you are on megaphone, I believe. You had a question? Okay, I'm going to leave that off. I'll continue as I am. If the network is infected by malware, every computer then gets infected. If you're using a client server model, you'll need an IT technician to maintain the network and make sure everything is secure and up to date. So I'll skip that question section because that was just a small amount of information there. But if we do have any sorry, disconnected there. If you do have any questions, there will be another one at the end of the slide. So this is factors that affect the performance of a network. So first of all, the numbers of users. You have loads of people on their phones, computers, VR headsets in their house. Means that more bandwidth will be used up, which could slow the network down. The meaning behind the bandwidth is having a higher bandwidth means a faster data can be sent and received between devices, which is measured now in megabytes per second. So if you're on a fiber line, you tend to sit between 50 and 80 megabytes per second. And if you're on slower lines, like standard ones, this is UK standard, you're normally between 4 and 8 megabytes per second. Another issue, transmission media can be affected. Obviously, spelling mistake there. It can be affected by the amount of bandwidth that can be handled at once. The smaller the bandwidth, the slower the data can be sent and received. Transmission media is things like Ethernet cables that connect from the router or a switch to your computer, and that can affect the speed on how fast data can travel back and forth. Other factors that can affect the performance of a network: error rate. The error rate is how many times a second something needs to be resent because it's failed. So if you downloaded something off Google, like a document, and it's failed because your bandwidth's slow, you failed to download it for some reason, that's your error rate. It's how many times it's failed to download it and retried. So that's a factor that can affect it. Latency. So people tend to use the word lag, time delay. It's the time delay between transmission of the first byte of a packet of data being received by a device. Also represented as the transmission not keeping up the download speed, measured in ping. So yeah, ping is the other word for latency. A good example is latency. If you're watching a news channel, you've got the presenter in the presentation room, and you're seeing them live. If they then talk to another presenter in a different location, so say in America, for example, you're watching CNN and they've gone live to Washington, for example, and they're talking. When they get information in their earpiece, there's delayed. So when the information comes through and they talk live on TV, you always get that gap. That's the latency between receiving the information. So yeah, I'm going to open questions here for that first part, and it's the first part there and this part. I'll open questions to the room. We'll give it a minute for the allow hands this time, and if there is anything, you can raise your hand on the allow hand raise button. I think we're all happy with the section here, so I'll turn that off. But if anyone does have any questions, you can always raise your hand in person as well, and I will cut to you. So the next part we're going to cover is different server models. So this is just two different server models you can have. The first one is your client to server. So the client connects to a server. Client to server model has a central server. Actually, if I get my pen, this grey box here, that's a server here. So it connects to a central server that all the peripheral devices connect to via a switch, which is the black box here. So all the devices are plugged into the switch or connect to the switch, and that will connect you to the central server where you get data and information from, and all your software will be shared here. So all these devices will have the same software access. The switch allows the devices to communicate with each other, and the switch allows the devices on the network to communicate with the central server to access files, software, and updates, which is the nice part about the client-server model. You do one update on the central server, and it will update all the devices here. The next model I'm showing here is the peer-to-peer model. The peer-to-peer model has no server, but all the peripheral devices are linked together via cables through a central switch. So again, you do have the switch that connects all the devices, but all the devices are also connected together. Computers have access to a printer. They require the one computer that's wired up to the printer to always be turned on and active at all times in order to be able to print when they want to. So I know the reading isn't very good if you're at the back, unless you're using the sideboards for the green section. So I'll read it off the best here I can. So these are advantages and disadvantages of the two different models. So we'll go for the client to server model first. The advantage of this is that it's easier to take backups of all shared data, because you can back it up just on a single server. It's easier to install software updates. As I said, when you update something, it updates it on all the peripheral devices. It's easier to manage security of files, so it's all secure because it's all kept on one central server. So all you protect is that central server. Disadvantages though, it's expensive to set up and maintain because you've got to buy all the switches, the wires, the server, the storage for the server. So it's expensive to set up and maintain. Requires an IT specialist. You need if it was an office, you'd have an IT specialist that would maintain all the updates, the backups. And any single point of failure, users lose access if the server fails. So if the switch breaks or the server breaks or a wire between the computer and the switch breaks, the whole network will fail. So the peer-to-peer model we have here, advantages, it's cheaper to set up. No expensive hardware is required, obviously other than your standard leads and wires on a network. There's no dependency on a single machine. So if one machine cuts off, doesn't cut off the rest of the machines because they're all connected to the switch. The only thing that would cut off is if the computer connected to the printer crashed, then you'd lose the printer. It's very easy to maintain. Specialist staff are not required. You could do this yourself if you're in an office and you wanted to use the peer-to-peer model. But the disadvantages of this is users will need to manage their own backups because everything's saved on their own computer. The users will need to remember to do their own backups. The network is also less secure because all the files are spread everywhere. Everything's kept on their own devices instead of a central server. It can be difficult to maintain a well-ordered file store because all the files will be in different locations. So I will open the floor to questions. I'm not going to put the hands up button on. If anyone has any questions, they can raise their hand here, and I'll go into the panel. And I'm happy to take a question. Perfect. Right, we'll move on from here. So now we're going to go over hardware of a network, and then I'll go into the next topic as well because this slide's quite short. So here, this is just a representation on how your local network will work. So your local area network. So here's your client. If you're in 2D mode, you'll be here, or if you're in a VR headset, you'll start here. This is you, the client. You'll then have a network interface card. So in the computer, you'll have a wireless one. We will have an Ethernet cable to wire up. Nowadays, they don't look so much like that, especially that isn't going to be inside your VR headset. They're a lot smaller nowadays. That will connect to your router or your WAP. We call it the wireless access point, which then will carry on to the internet. So the basic network is client, network interface card, router. That's your local area network. And if you're on a local area network that requires an office, you tend to have a switch here that connects all the devices so they can manage all the devices in between here and the router. And obviously the router, when it's active, connects you to the internet. All clients need a network interface card to connect to the router. This could be a wireless adapter or a network card. The router in this simple connection can host multiple clients, but more advanced hardware is needed for bigger networks. So move on to the domain name system, DNS. Oh, do you have a question? I'll put my pen down here. Let's get host tools, host panel. I'm going to allow hand raises just so it's easier to turn you on. If you do have a question, you can activate that. And you've got megaphone, I think.
Hi, Murin. I failed
Yeah.
to see all you're mentioning intranet. I saw the mentioning of internet, but not intranet. I think you're missing out on that.
Intranet, it's an older term. It's something we don't learn so much in the course, especially in our course that we share. I mean, if you got a bit of information about that, you can share it if you want. Have a basic knowledge of it, but not too complex.
Now, you mentioned LAN, and a LAN is a local area network, which we used to call intranet. Wide area network is the internet. So those two are connected. Okay.
Yeah, which is an example I'm going to give later on, actually. Yeah, an example of the wide area network, I think I said earlier, is the internet, and the intranet is a local area network. Yeah, you've reminded me of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Right, I think that's taken off there. We'll close that back off. Thank you for that as well. So we're going to go over how DNS works. So all web pages or URLs have a unique reference for that specific page. Like me and you, we're not going to remember IP addresses like 87.245.200.153. We're just not going to remember each IP address for every website. I believe the course is written, this is an old IP for google.com. This is just an example. We wouldn't remember it, we'd remember google.com. It's a lot easier to remember. And would be no good for humans to try and remember, as I said there. So we use google.com and type that into the address bar of the browser where the URL goes, which means that the client has sent a request to the domain name server for the current location of google.com. DNS returns the request to the client device, telling the device to go to that IP address. The browser now goes to the Google server via the IP address, and given the IP address, it looks for the index.html file to start displaying the web page. So there's a quick diagram there on how it basically works. The client sends a request. It's going to look for google.com at that IP address. It sends it back. So I'll get the drawing here. So requests, it sends it to there. Get the IP address back. It locates it here, and you'll get the web page. So that's roughly how it works. But the description there tells you exactly how that functions. Here's a good example on how this works. I've lost my pen for the minute, so when that comes back, I'll bring it in. But there's a DNS hierarchy. So you have a root at the top. It always reads the address backwards. So you have your top level domain, which is .com, .uk, .org, or .edu. There are other top level domains that will be for websites. And it'll go for the second, the second level domain. Let's get the laser pointer now. Here we go. So you got your root, you got your .com, .uk, .org, and .edu. So your second level domain, obviously google.com, so it only has to go to the second level domain. So you got your root, .com, and then Google. So that's how you would access Google. It's the same with the UK version. It'd be uk.co with Google being here for google.co.uk. Another example is the BBC, which is a news company in the UK. It has a third level domain because it uses two domains here. But Wikipedia is another example, or government website, gov.uk. Wikipedia is just wikipedia.org. There's no wikipedia.org.com or wikipedia.org.uk. It's just .org, which stands for organization, I believe, if I'm correct with that one. So the Wikipedia is the second level domain. Each level is just a separate part of that URL. And that's the hierarchy of how that works. So an example would be for .com, you could .uk is easier because you already got two there. So another one for a UK website could be not YouTube because that's not .uk. Let's find another one. ITV is or Channel 4. Actually, I don't know if you have access to Channel 4 in the UK. You have channel4.co.uk, and that would be your root, and it would read .uk.co and channel 4. So that would just be a video streaming server, so you're able to access there. So I think that's the last part of that bit. Come to those who join the room. We're just in the middle of a lesson. We are recording it, so if you need to go back or you're using a Mac, you can access a live stream. The name of the live stream is on the back of the wall. So we'll continue here, and if we have extra time at the end, I will go back through the PowerPoint. I will open for hand raises. And I'll leave that on the screen to explain what we're going over next, which is how a VPN works. So if anyone has questions on that last section, I'm happy to go over it. But if we don't get anything, I will continue. Okay, I think I'm happy to continue, so I'll turn that back off. If anyone does have any important questions, though, just raise your hand in person, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Right, there's a lot of information here, so I'll try and go through it the best I can. If you can't read the front board, we have sideboards. If you can't read those, I suppose do your best to hear, really. And it is difficult to read here, but that's because I haven't got my glasses on. I should put them on. VPNs are generically small collection. VPNs, sorry, are what are a generically small collection of devices that act as though they're physically connected on a local area network. But they're in fact connected via the internet as a way to connect to the local area network. An example of this, I can put that underneath, but an example of this would be if you're in an office, you're working in an office, and because of lockdown, you've had to work from home. You have to access your office account. You obviously got to log in through it. Remote access is a form of virtual private network. So through that, you connect to your log into your virtual private network. So be your office's server. You put your username, password that you have for your account. Then whatever your user accesses that you have at work will be the same at home. So it's the same as taking control of someone's computer via TeamViewer. That isn't necessarily a virtual network, but it's the same concept. So we'll continue on here. VPNs allow people to access and store data on another network at any time, as long as they have access via the internet and have permissions from the local network owner that owns a VPN. So the owner can actually take control on who can access it and who can't, and they can kick you off or give you certain privileges dependent on your user access level. The benefits of this are a low cost and widely available data. The owner of the VPN must make sure it's secure and password protected, else it's open to everyone. So you could create a remote access area for work, but if it didn't protect it with passwords, anyone could access it as long as they had a remote access server. You can see benefit to most VPNs, though, is the fact that when people connect to your virtual private network, you can see what they're doing, take control of what they're doing, and have the ability to kick them off the network. It's also a benefit to recent events in lockdown, as people can access their office computers via a VPN connection on their own devices from home through the connection of the internet. So I know myself, my dad, he's a radio presenter. He's had to use a computer, a virtual private network to be able to record his shows in the UK. So we'll go, I think that's one of the last slides. So we'll go through the information again. We'll have discussion about different PowerPoints. Yeah, that's the final slide. So I'm going to reverse the slide back to the start. And whilst I do that, I'm going to open hand raisers for any questions, because that is a lot of information to take in. I was talking to Theo earlier about my class. And I was saying, all this stuff we learn on this unit, we learn within a month. The information you're taking from this, you're taking in within not even half an hour, 25 minutes, could be coming at 5 past. They're taking on all this information quite quickly. I know some of you here are experienced with it. Some of you who are here just to learn about it, and you can either come here every week or you come here every so often. It's a lot of information to take in. and you will remember it when you're shown. But the way to remember things is actively doing it. And you can't really actively do computer science as such. So the best way to do it is show it through a presentation. So I try my best to do this each week, and I do this for the education of others. Myself, I want to become a computer science teacher in the future, which is why I do this. So if you do have any questions, I'm happy to take them. But if not, I will go through this again for those who have joined recently. If we get to the end again before 12, I will open the floor. Everyone start having a conversation. I'll cut the video off early because I couldn't put all of it into one PowerPoint because I didn't want to overflow in the lesson. So go through it again. If it finishes early, I'll open up to the floor so we will have a discussion either about this or different topics. So we'll continue on through. So welcome to anyone who's joined halfway through. We're going through the start again. We're going through types of networks. And thank you to Ronald here at the front, reminded me that the local area network is actually the intranet. It's what they used to call the intranet. People, I suppose if you're in the job, you would refer to it as that. But not many people, mainly in the UK, I don't know if they do in America, don't refer to it as intranet anymore. The class is old technology. But anyway, a local area network is a network based on one specific site in which you can only use within a specific area. So this is an example of Wi-Fi at home. The devices are connected wirelessly or wired up to the Wi-Fi, which is on a specific site, which is your home Wi-Fi, which is a local area network. Wide area network. This is the second type of network. A wide area network is a network based on a large geographical scale, which can be accessed from more than one area. For example, the internet is a wide area network as everyone can access it on a large geographical scale. So, for example, there you see 2 different rooms of computers from the other side of the world. They can all access the internet as it's a wide area network. Advantages of a network. Mainly, this is a local area network advantage. Users can share files, but you obviously can share files over the internet as well, so it does apply to both. Users can share peripheral devices. Mainly, that would be through remote access on a wide area network. You can obviously access other people's areas. Profiles can be managed centrally. Users can all access the same software, and all files can be accessed centrally if you're using a server on a network. Disadvantages of a network is it's difficult to keep the network up to date. If the network is infected by malware, every computer then gets infected. I think I may have missed that the first time round. But if your network's infected by malware, so if your local area network is infected through your router, every computer can then get infected. And if you're running a client-server model, which I'll show you in a minute, you'll need an IT technician to maintain the network and make sure everything's secure and up to date. So I will keep the hand raisers open if you do. It'll alert me through the headset with a popping noise or something. I'll think, what's that? And I'll obviously show up on here. So you can ask me questions throughout, and I'm just going to skip through these slides. So factors that affect the performance on a network. So number of users is the main one, especially if you're on a small connection line with 8 megabytes per second is the bandwidth. In my other household, not here, I have 50 devices connected on a network. Not necessarily all of them are taking data all the time, but it is a lot of users connected on a network. And having more users means that more bandwidth will be used up, which could slow the network down. Having higher bandwidth means that faster data can be sent and received, which is measured in megabytes per second. So you have your internet provider, normally from a fiber line, you'll have around 50 to 80 megabytes per second. If you're on a standard line here in the UK, copper cable, we refer to as, you have 8 megabytes per second on average, between 4 and 8. Transmission media can also affect the amount of bandwidth that can be handled once. The smaller the bandwidth, the slower the data can be sent and received. So that there basically means if you have cables plugged into the computer, the cable has obviously only a certain amount of data it could transfer between receiving and sending. Can slow down the of data you can receive and the amount of bandwidth that can be handled at once through that piece of transmission media. So that refers to cables. Error rate. The error rate is how many times a second something needs to be resent because it's failed. So if it's failed to download a specific section of your download file, it will keep resending, and that's the error rate. That's how many times you've had an error as you go along. Welcome, Bacon, which is in the middle of the lesson here. So we'll continue. But if you have any questions, you can raise your hand as we go along. The next factor that affects the network performance is latency. The time delay between transmission of the first byte or packet of the data being received by device, also represented as transmission not being kept up with download speed, measured in ping. Latency, people refer to as lag, ping, there's a few others. But underneath here, I didn't even read it out last time, sorry. An example of latency is when you watch a news report presenter talk to an interviewer from a long distance away and they have a delayed reply. There would have been a better way for me to explain it instead of doing it off the top of my head. But I mean, it's good that I did it off the top of my head. So continue again. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. I should note it's on the host panel. So we've got the client to server model. The client to server model has a central server that all the peripheral devices connect to via switch. So in the middle of that, I'll get my pen out again. In the middle of there, you have a switch. Okay, you have a central server. The switch allows all devices to communicate with each other through the central server and through the switch, actually. And the switch allows the device on the network to communicate with the central server to access files, software, and updates. So you'd have an IT technician maintaining the central server. When you update something, it'll update all the same computers at the same time, and all the computers will have access to all of the same data by the central server. So the peer-to-peer model. Peer-to-peer model has no server, but all the peripheral devices are linked together via cables and through a central switch. The computers have access to a printer, but require the computer that is wired to the printer. So this computer here will be wired to the printer. Requires it to be turned on and active at all times in order to be able to print. Otherwise, that active connection between the computers, the switch, this computer, and the printer will not be active. If a computer isn't active, it means the printer can't connect to the switch. So we're going to go through disadvantages and advantages of different network models. So the client server and the peer-to-peer model. So advantages of the client server model: it's easier to manage backups of all shared data, easier to install software updates, it's easier to manage security of files. So those are the advantages. But the disadvantages of client server model would be that it's expensive to set up and maintain because you've got all the cables, you've got the central server, storage in the central server as well that you need to pay for. As you went over in, I think it's last lesson 1.3, storage can be expensive, especially if you're using solid state drive. The price comparison we showed last time with hard disk drive at 6 terabytes was around £100 that was, and an SSD, which I think it only had 2 terabytes on it, was around £120. So it's more expensive for less data. The client server model requires IT specialists to maintain, which is another disadvantage because you then have to pay someone, or if you're an IT specialist, I suppose it's not too bad for you, but then you've got to maintain all the computers via the central server. And a single point of failure, so if the server fails, I got the picture up there, if the server fails, users will lose access to the files and obviously access to anything else like the software, and it'll lose all connection. The peer-to-peer model is cheaper to set up. There's no expensive hardware required. As obviously you still got the wiring, but no central server or storage that you need to worry about. There's no dependency on a single machine, so they don't depend on the server. Very easy to maintain. Specialist staff are not required. You maintain your own computer. But that's where the disadvantages come in. the users will need to manage their own backups of files, whereas an IT specialist from the client server model would have backed it up for them. So they have to manage their own backups. The network is actually less secure because all the computers are able to be accessed through the router. All the files are on all different computers instead of just the central server, which they can block off from the switch. It can be difficult to maintain a well-ordered file storage because all the files are on separate computers, not one central server. So we'll carry on again. If you've just joined, questions can be asked by allowing hand raises. But we'll just carry on through because this is the second round we've gone through this time. So we'll go through hardware for a network. So here is yourself in your headset or on your computer, you're the client. So you have a network interface card, an NIC, which either Ethernet cable or wireless, which would route up to your router or your WAP, your wireless access point, which allows you to connect to the internet. So this would be your local area network connecting to a wide area network through your router. Routers allow your local area network to connect to other routers and other connections. So that uses your IP address for communicating with the internet. And sometimes, as I said before, you can have a switch here, and the switch communicates data throughout the local area network using your MAC address. You'll notice you have a MAC address on each of your devices, which aren't chosen by the router because it's just shared through each device. They all own their individual MAC address. So all clients need an NIC, network interface card to connect to a router. This could be a wireless adapter or a network card. The router in this simple connection can host multiple clients, but more advanced hardware is needed for bigger networks like cables, central servers, especially if you're doing client-to-server model, would be needed and it would be more expensive. Again, if you have questions, you can continue to raise your hand. So next, we're going to go through the domain name system again. So there's a fair bit of information taken here. So I'll go through it the best I can. All web pages or URLs have a unique reference for that specific page. But using something like, so here's the IP address for google.com. I think it's an old IP address. It may be the same now. But 87.245.200.153, you wouldn't remember that. No, it'd be no good for a human to try and remember IP address to access google.com. You would never remember. Well, you could memorize that, like you memorize your mobile number, but you wouldn't do that for every website you want to access from day to day. So we use google.com instead. Type that into the address bar of the browser where the URL goes, which means that the client has sent a request to the domain name server, current location of google.com. Starts here as communicating with a server, it sends google.com, and you'll receive the IP address. The DNS then returns a request to the client device, telling the device to go to that IP address, 87.245.200.153. The browser now goes to the Google server through that IP address. Once it's given, it looks for the index.html file to start displaying the web page. So this is it here. You communicate in. So you communicate where's google.com, you get the IP address, you look at the IP address, and you get the web information. So that's how you connect to the internet. That's how you connect to different pages. And that happens every time you change your website. Even if you're clicking a button that takes you to a different web page, you're still using the DNS method because you're taking the IP address from the website. Here, this is the DNS hierarchy. So this is you at the root. So the root is from the right-hand side of your URL. So you read it right to left, like you do manga books. Some people read manga, you read like right to left, I believe. Anyway, so your top level domain would be .com, .uk, .org, or .edu. In the US, you might have .us, I'm not sure. But these are just top level domains. This is on the right hand side. This is the last thing you see in address in the URL. Then you have the second level domain here. So you can have Google, so google.com. We have .co.uk, or I don't know if they use it in America, .co.us. I'm not sure, or if it's just .us. Because I think the EU is just .eu. You can also have .gov.uk, or Wikipedia is actually a second level domain where it just uses wikipedia.org and it ends there. It doesn't go wikipedia.org.com or .co.uk. It's just wikipedia.org, which stands for organization, as far as I believe. So yeah, Wikipedia is on a second level domain. We then move to a third level domain. So an example of this would be through BBC, is a news source in the UK. You could also, if it was a UK news presentation, you could have cnn.co.uk. So that would be your third level domain. And that bit there would be your last part of the domain you'd read. You wouldn't read www, World Wide Web, you wouldn't read that. That's the last thing the DNS would read before you get the rest from the server. So it'd read uk.co.bbc. That would be all the information you needed. That's mainly for people from the UK. So a better example, just from the second level domain, would be .org.wikipedia, and everyone accesses that. If you want information from people who write it in the public and sometimes write false facts. Anyway, we'll move on from that argument that people tend to have about Wikipedia being a bit of a dodgy site to get information from. Again, for people to join, if you have any questions, be sure to raise your hand because we're just moving on again through this now. This is the second time around. So the last bit now is how a VPN works. There's a lot of information here, so I'll take you through the best I can. So a virtual private network. I'm just going to get a bit closer so I can read this. I know it's difficult. If you can't read it, just listen and we'll try and get through this part. VPNs, which are generically small collection of devices that act as they're physically connected in a local area network. But they're in fact connected via the internet as a way to connect to the local area network. VPNs allow people to access and store data on another network at any time, as long as they have access via the internet and have permissions from the local area network owner that owns the VPN. Benefits are a low cost and widely available data, but the owner of the VPN must make sure that it's secure and password protected, else it is open to everyone. A benefit of most VPNs is the fact that when people are connected, you can see what they're doing. So if you own a virtual private network and someone's connected it to it, so you're sat in your local area network now, you're sat in your office, you own the office, you sat there, you've made your money, you've got your own office, and you've got one of your co-workers needs remote access because of COVID in recent times, the shielding, whatever they may be doing, they might have got COVID, so they're isolating. So they're isolating at home, but still need to work and put input into the company. So they're on the computer at home. Remote access. You can the person who owns it or maintains the server network will be able to see what they're doing on their screen at all times. For example, in schools, I don't know if they do it in the US. When you use a school computer, they can always see what you're doing on the computer to make sure you're doing the right thing. So obviously they can see what you're doing. They can also take control. So if they see you're doing something bad, and they're not going to go off, they're just going to take it off, or you need help and you're talking to them live, and they just want to take control just to show what's going on. They can take control of your screen, what you're doing. They also have the ability to kick them off the network. So if someone they didn't want to connect in, or a coworker connected and started going absolutely AWOL, they kick them off the network. The same here. If someone went AWOL, the moderators can kick you out, or myself. But it's not an example of virtual private network. You're not accessing anything other than AltspaceVR. It's also a benefit to recent events in lockdown, as people can access their office computers via a VPN connection on their devices from home through a connection of the internet. So this was useful for me. The UK went into lockdown 3 times because they couldn't get themselves sorted, but also COVID was obviously developing, mutating. When we're trying to access the school servers for schoolwork files I needed off of the laptops and computers from my 3 profiles at school because of the different courseworks I do. To access those, I had to log in, load the files, or email them to myself, get them off there, and then obviously log back off. We see what I'm doing. They can take control if I'm doing something dodgy on the network. And they have the ability to kick them off. So that's an example of a network. So we have to use that through lockdown. And I'm sure other people in the US have had to do that. And I believe that's the last slide. So I'm going to go through the thank you slides and the goodbye slide. And then I'm going to open it up to the floor. We've got about 8 minutes left, which will take us to about 5-2. And we can all have discussions. But if that's a question, then I'll answer that. And then we'll go through what we're doing next week. So yes, Sophie, I believe you're live on air.
Yeah, you did mention that VPN is also highly encrypted because there's other ways to connect to a computer, like proxies and stuff like that, that are not encrypted. Some people could use that, but VPN is also highly encrypted. That's why people prefer VPN over other ways of connecting to computers.
Yes, that is another thing. They are highly encrypted, but the argument with that is whoever owns it can use VPNs for bad things. For example, at the moment people use VPNs like NordVPN, for example. It does stand for virtual private network still. They use that, say, in the UK to connect the US servers to access US Netflix shows. The issue with that being is the more or less secure virtual private networks. You can have your local area network hacked, because when you use a virtual private network now, it requires you to go through your router instead of your specific device. So in fact, it is very encrypted if you're using a secure VPN, but if it's not so secure and the person who owns it could do dodgy things to your network or computers, I wouldn't trust it. They can access it through your router, which gives them all your devices.
I personally wouldn't put
Especially
it
if
on
you're
the
connected
router,
full time.
but
Yeah.
like I also look for companies that does like VPN, but then on their website it also says that they don't keep any records as well. That's
Yeah,
important.
that's a different way of doing it. That's a good way of doing it. So thank you for that. I'm going to take you off the air now. So yeah, that is another thing. You can do it for websites, of course. Obviously, but if you're letting them through your router, it does make your local area network less secure, especially if you're doing it in a workplace. So at the end of the meeting, I'd like to go over what we'll do in the next lesson. So that'll be same time next week. If you click on You Are Here, you can also go to the event page, click my name, and go to see the next few courses. I've actually put them up in case Altspace has other issues next week or the week after. So always be up there and ready, unless they ever have issues with the events, but hopefully it'll be fine. So next week we'll be looking over network topologies, which is how networks are laid out, network protocols, and network layering. So I hope you've enjoyed your time here, and you'll come back next week's presentation on computer science course. As always, I say, hopefully, computer's not working. Back one now.
Merlin, DJ Mondo has a question over here, I believe.
Okay, I'll go back on there now because I closed the host panel. There we go. Right. Should be on awaiting consent. DJ Mondo, where are you? Here.
Sorry, I didn't have a question. I was just trying to show appreciation.
Okay, thank you. It's always thankful for appreciation. I will open the floor up afterwards so we can all have a conversation after the thing. But thank you very much for the appreciation. Thank you for all the minutes, everyone. In fact, I'm giving my thanks to you guys. At the end of the meeting, I'd like to give thanks to everyone who's helped behind the scenes, who's helped me whilst I'm in the air in the event. So again, every week, should have taken Lance off before because you have to shoot off to an event that's going on at the moment. But again, I'd like to thank Karen in this corner and Matthew, who've moved over to Lance's corner over there for helping on air tonight with moderating the event. I'd also like to thank my friend Theo for being here tonight, as he comes from the class where we live. Yeah,
I would like to say, though,
yeah.
hold on. I'd like to say, Merlin, You're doing such a good job. This is my
you,
first
thank you.
time here. Just want to say you're doing such a good job here. Like all of this, we learned in a span of a month, and you've done this in less than an hour. I'm generally
Thank you,
just
yeah.
really impressed with you. Like I'm just astounded. I was just sat in that corner there, just watching it, thinking I'm at school. Because honestly, you should be a professor at this.
That's the target for university 6 years from now. So hopefully that'll go ahead.
You can
Again,
do it. You can do it.
Yeah. Again, I thank any newcomers who joined me in the event tonight, as well as those who attended last week's event. I hope you can all come back next week for more community again soon. Again, I just thank everyone for joining. It really means a lot to me. If you can get to the next slide as well. So this is my goodbye section. It always says, you know, if you want to have a conversation with anyone else in the room or myself, you can. Normally gather little circles, start grouping up, and we have conversations. But if you're not able to stay and need to shoot off to an event, you can do. Hope you've enjoyed your time here, and I'll see you soon. I know Matthew's had to shoot off because there is a training event going on if you're interested in moderator training. But thank you again all. So I'm going to turn the host panel off and turn mute all off. Thank you all again for coming.
So yeah, I came in half like at the end of the show. I'm sorry I missed most of it.
Oh,
What
that's
was
all
the
right. If you
top?
came back through where we went through it again, I believe you came through at that time.
I came in
yeah,
when
just
just at the end of
presentation again.
EMS.
Hello. How's
Yeah.
it going?
Yeah.
Pretty good, pretty good.
But if you go to the event, you can sign up for next week or a couple of weeks after.
Tired. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I actually forgot
I
to
actually got
mention
snoozed off.
back
I had
wall.
my finger
It's
thumb
like a
on the
notice
controller.
board. The main
You were like,
bottom
"How
ones
did I
are to
just
do with
uploaded
last week's event, which was
It
a live
happened.
performance,
It
which
happened.
was very good.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
had to take my thumbs
Corporation
off
of
the
Aladdin,
controller before I
which
did
is a very good show.
Vintage is in
Okay.
2D
I love that show.
They
There
do
you go. There you go.
a good opportunity.
But what
No,
was
I
what,
switched
I'm
into
just
my
curious, what
headset
was the
though.
topic like for
I
today?
was pretty
I
quick
missed.
about
Oh,
that,
this
huh?
is-
Oh, today was
We're kind of
about
out.
Didn't even notice you switched.
groups of network and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is a channel on the back of the wall. I will be
Well,
skipping
Dargan,
the
you must
name in
be
a second.
you must
because
be
the camera
pretty tired now
you
after
can
all
reach
these
it
weeks of
if you want to.
mostly
When
preparation
you
and
search our
putting
channel,
this
everything
together
should
and
come up on
fighting
there.
the
Well,
technology
I'm
gods.
It'll
I'm
be
a network
called
Altspace.
system
Unit
engineer,
5.
so
Yes,
but then
yes.
like
Four.
I just want to learn
They didn't
what
smile
other
on
people
us
think about
for
like
my
No,
stuff
they
too.
sure
So that's why I
didn't.
came here to check
Yeah,
that
yeah.
out.
Even
So
even
next week is
Microsoft got
topologies.
involved.
That's right.
If you want to access the name of the unit on the board,
Oh,
I'll just
figure out how to make it
That's
work. I
right.
gotta throw something else
quickly.
at.
Oh man, yeah.
It's funny too. Just after
you
you
were
got
So
being
like,
too
do you do
everything
Cisco
successful. They
perfectly.
had to
courses and all
take
that stuff too,
of
like in
all
here?
of the network down.
Sorry, what was that?
Do you do like Cisco courses and stuff like that on here too? Like
That was
No, it's only the
and,
computer
like,
science course that I do
network
for
plus?
GCSE
I don't know
in
what
the
that
UK
was.
at the
Somebody
moment.
disappeared.
And then I'm
Okay.
moving
Yeah.
to college.
What caused that?
Six weeks we finish this course, then college starts in September. So I'll be
You should
continuing that on
Are you
throughout.
guys going to the?
You should add like Cisco networking and all that stuff.
What's it
Like
called?
how to do
Ro-
access
the
systems,
study hall
routers,
or the
No.
event
and
right
all
now.
configurations.
You know,
stuff like
I
that.
need a little
cover
break.
that.
I'm gonna.
It'll be
I'm
something
spending too
I
much
think we'll
time
be
in
learning in
Altspace.
college,
I'm gonna go walk with
which will be
Rich
something I
and
can
then come back
teach.
in for our
good.
study hall.
Good
That would
for
be
you.
research I need to
Do you,
do.
Yeah,
you and
So-
Rich live like
But it's just the
close to
basic
each
knowledge for
other,
now
or
for
do
people
you
who
guys
want
live
to learn
together,
the
or-
basics behind
by
this
car,
science.
maybe
Okay.
about 15
So
to
because I
20
So,
personally
minutes apart.
think
We live in the
Cisco
same
covers a lot of
nice.
stuff, like how to
Okay.
Yeah, I live
rewire,
on
how
one
Yeah.
side
how
and you
the
live
entire
together, but
network works,
it's
like how
small.
to like
And depending on
encapsulate
traffic, we'll
like
be there in 10
the
minutes.
data from your
That's nice.
browsers
Hello,
all the way
Pasta.
up to the
Yeah.
physical network,
Cool.
like the OSI layers and all that stuff. It describes all that stuff. So I think it's a great way to like let people know more about
Yeah, I was gonna
networking.
go see what
So,
the moderator
thanks very much
for the
has
feedback.
to say about
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to see
We're
that.
just gonna move
but,
over here.
I don't know.
Takeshi,
I didn't get
how you
my
doing?
potatoes
yeah.
done, and
I'm,
I know you
I have
every
a
week.
several
question.
different things. So
I
and
have
Go
a
on.
question,
I want
but
Rich to
it's
go,
not
and I
regarding
texted
to
him,
the.
but
It's not related to today's lesson, but
You know, I feel like they
actually,
did
I
it once
just
before,
last
but
week, this week,
I feel
I
like they did it
uploaded
last week.
Laurel did a
world
number
to
of them
the auto
last
space
year,
the first time.
moderator
Okay.
trainings.
But I noticed
Mm.
Yeah. So it's good that
if
they're repeating
that
them.
word
They definitely
is
need to repeat
included,
them.
the when
And
Yeah.
make
I
the
do need to
word
go to one. I mean,
with unity,
it's been
then
it's been
if that
months since I've been
unity
to
is
one, and I think it's a
including
good
the
refresher, if
C#
nothing else.
programming,
And plus,
it will
Laurel's
be
so
rejected.
good at it. I mean, she
So
gives
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I also
tips
find
and
the
techniques that are really
MRT,
helpful.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm
MRE.
sure.
MRE also somehow
Yeah.
related to this auto
Well,
space
enjoy your potatoes.
things,
I will see you
right?
Yes.
afterwards.
So
Oh,
can
Yeah,
you
so
can you
Okay.
yeah.
explain what
Let me
is
see if
firstly
Merlin
I'll
needs
see.
what does
anything, and then
the
and then I'll take off. So
MRE stand for
And I'm
I'll
and
probably
see
gonna
you.
take off in
how
a
it is related to the auto
All
space.
right,
Yeah.
And
and then we're
I
all
know
set
that
for
somehow
tomorrow.
Yep.
MREs
Should be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
includes some
Alright.
kind of programming, maybe C#.
Working on that. Should be able to
Java.
make it.
So
hopefully.
basically,
We'll
when
be
you
fine.
create a template, the AltspaceVR uploaders don't allow the script.
Mm.
Yeah, I hope you can, but
If you want to
with
include
this,
an
looking
memory
around,
that
I
requires
understand not
code,
everybody's got
the code goes through Java. We actually do diagrams in a
yeah,
class
it
every
must
week.
be
I can send the
depends, like,
YouTube
on my
clips. Are
daughter,
you part of
like,
the Discord
she's
server
comfortable
for
with
this
me,
class?
like, leaving her on her own or not for
No,
so long. So yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I haven't
Yeah,
installed
but, you know,
Discord software yet
We'll be
but
alright. I think
recently I noticed
we've
there
talked
is
about it, so I think we'll be
the
okay.
website for the
Cool.
Discord, and then if I install that one,
Alright.
then
Well,
maybe
talking
I
about
can
potatoes
Have a
install.
good, have a good
hungry,
evening.
though.
Can
I'll
you
probably
send
catch
me
you
the
some later
Discord
tonight.
account?
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
I
Okay.
You try to
use.
come to the study
So are you
session
on the
later, or probably
MRE
not?
server? Are you?
Probably
know,
not.
do you
Yeah,
want-
unfortunately. I want
Yeah.
to start making this.
Yeah, I'll try and find you on there, and I'll
Reserve.
send you the link if I
Yeah.
can. And what I'll do is I'll send you links to the videos that
Next
Dargan has
week.
done,
Right.
which will explain different things
Yeah,
about
cool.
MREs
All right. Well, have a
Oh,
good one.
okay.
and how
Okay.
to code them.
Yeah, so
Karen, did
Okay.
you have a
can
question?
you send me that too? Because I'm interested in memory.
No, Merlin, I'm just
Yeah, I can
gonna
do.
take.
Yeah.
I was gonna take off if you don't need me anymore.
Yeah, that's fine. I can manage it. So you're going to the moderation training class, are you?
No, I'm actually gonna finish my
Oh, yeah,
potatoes that
Rich.
I started and then go walk with Rich, and then
So,
and then we have.
Dragoness,
So
you do
Theo,
MRE
it was
classes
really
or?
nice to meet you, and
Yeah,
Nice to meet
I'm
you
doing
too.
the MRE class.
what a nice thing for you to
Yeah,
say
I was
about your
gonna go
friend.
attend the
I was
last
very
class,
impressed
but
with that.
because of
He
AltspaceVR service
has
I'm
done a
impressed
Yeah,
with
thank
him
you.
too.
fantastic job,
Yeah.
and you know
Yeah,
it's.
did you see that
I've
there's a
told him
makeup
that, but
class
it means a
tomorrow?
lot when it comes from a
tomorrow.
friend.
What
So
time?
I was very
Yeah.
As
impressed
I,
with that.
especially because
What time is it
I
tomorrow?
know what school's been like for him at the moment, and my God,
Let's
it's been
see,
tough.
like maybe
Computer
4
science,
o'clock
remote learning
Eastern.
does not
Oh,
mix
I
well.
can
What time is it for you?
imagine.
Him
Yeah,
doing
it
all
doesn't
of this
work.
has seriously impressed me. Like, I've
Good job,
I've just been blown
Merlin.
away.
I'll see you at
Thank
the
you,
training.
Dragoness.
Well,
Yeah?
it's.
I'll see you at the
Nice to
training.
meet you, Theo.
Sweet you
I
too.
was just telling Theo Dragoness, I know you got to go, but I was just telling Theo that was very nice what he said about his friend. Very nice
It
compliment.
was. Well, it's true too. You know, you're doing a great job, Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because
So
I
1
would never
p.m.
have thought
tomorrow.
to do
All right.
this. would
I
never
mean,
thought to
yeah,
go
you
to
proofread
Altspace.
half of this, and so, what was it, the DNS hierarchy?
I'll definitely be there.
You didn't get to cover that in the class.
Cool.
It was
Well,
only
no,
on the
I
knowledge
didn't.
organizers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never heard of that before.
Right,
So some of the
I'll
stuff that's been
see you a
covered.
little bit later.
All right, take care, Karen. Enjoy your walk.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
And Dragoness, if
See
you need
you
to pop
again.
up to moderation, I'll see you there.
All right. Bye.
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 So yeah, I
Mari,
mean, go on.
yeah, how do I know it's your Discord account?
So it's the same as my username in here. So what I can do is I can access it now. If not, so Soulfeeder, the easiest way to access my Discord is if you go to the event on the website, click the channel that says Merlin's Class of Magic on the left-hand side. In that channel, it'll say Join Discord. Through that button, it will send you the link.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
definitely
I will
have
try.
to check that out.
I will try. And if I have problem, next time I join I will maybe ask your help. Thank you for.
Yeah, there is a general
your
chat
help.
section, so you can put the chat message
Was
in
it?
there, and I'll reply to you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very
But
much.
you guys can join, try and join now, and I can confirm if you've got into it. If you need help, if not, I'll try and find you on the MRE class. If you have any issues, just tell me next week, and I can try and get you in same time next week.
I'm gonna be at the MRE class tomorrow for sure. That's something I'm super
Oh, is that
interested
Dargan's
in
MRE
looking at.
class?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had to you put I moderate the YouTube channel for that. And you had to push it back because of the Altspace errors yesterday. I don't know if you knew about those.
Yesterday I was gonna go into the the MRE class, but because the whole server crashing and stuff like that couldn't make it. And then Dragon Assist told me that there's one tomorrow, a makeup class.
Yeah. So there's one tomorrow because of the errors. We did half of it on the YouTube channel, but you only did a small part of the lesson. So yeah, the lesson's on tomorrow. Takeshi, if you wanted to go to it, it should be on the calendar for tomorrow. I'm not sure the time zone though.
Okay. Yeah.
It's 1 p.m. Western time, and I think she said I'm not sure what that is in Eastern time because I just looked
Yeah.
it up. Yeah, it's on tomorrow. You'll find it in tomorrow's event.
Okay. Yeah, I will
It
check.
should be on the main
Actually,
events as well.
yeah. Okay, I will check and then but it is I think the schedule is conflicting another computer class organized by Universe or some Universe.
University.
Yes, so which is better. It is also somehow related to the topics about the C# or Unity.
Yeah.
Do you recommend which is better? Actually, I don't have any experience. This is only this week I just installed the Unity first time. Then I don't have any knowledge of C#. So which one do you recommend to attend?
So for Unity, if you just use the assets and build, as long as you've got the uploader to upload to AltSpace, you won't actually have to use any C# because it doesn't allow scripts. So if you're just placing assets, building worlds, and then just uploading it, should be fine. But AltSpace doesn't allow the scripts. The only scripts they allow is JavaScript, and that's through deploying an MRE for a port in your router.
Well,
JavaScript is allowed. Okay.
There's one script that they do allow though. It's Pro Builder. They have like a terrain building script that they will
Yeah,
allow you to
that's the only
upload, but
script.
only as a template. They will not let you upload as a kit.
Yeah.
I personally tried it multiple times. That's all I know.
Well, thank you for the information. Hopefully you can get to the MRE class tomorrow, and hopefully able to access the Discord server. But for now, I'm gonna have to hop off. So I'll take you
All
to
right,
my
I'm gonna
home
add you,
world. And
Merlin.
we'll talk for a bit. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna head to my home world
No,
now, and
that's
I'll see you
Theo
all
as
soon.
well.
Okay.
See you guys.
See you next week.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Theo, I'll open up a report thing for you.
Okay. Now I can't wait until I'm allowed to present this as well.
Yeah. We'll get you to present it next week. We'll do a Discord call in the week or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'll meet you there.